Okay, so today we're going to be talking about stencils, and we're hopefully by the end of today's lesson we're going to have manufactured stencil that can go on the front of our light box. Now, the trick to stencils, as we've probably found out in the start of today's lesson, is keeping it simple and as clear as possible. If you choose an image that's too complicated, your stencil is not going to work, and I promise you, the simpler you go with your stencil, the more clear and the more effective it's going to look. So the first thing you're going to do is it's up to you. You can either create your own stencil or you can find a stencil that you like online. I'm going to copy and paste this into 2D design tools. Okay, so I found this Stormtrooper. There are simpler ones, but I quite like this one here. I thought this would work quite nicely because it's black on white, and I know my background is white. So we're going to copy and paste that. So we right click and we copy that image, and then we go onto 2D design tools that we should already have open up here, and we paste it in. Okay, so paste it in here. Okay, so there's my image. Okay, now what I need to do is I need to make this into a stencil. So the first thing I need to do is I need to figure out what size I want my stencil to be. Now, I already know because I've measured your light boxes. They are 115 millimeters by 119 millimeters. So what I need to do is I need to change my page size. So the first thing I need to do is click on this little icon up here on layout. So I click on layout and I click on, instead of having it as an A3 piece of paper, I need to go to user defined. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is I need to change this one to 115, and I need to change this one to 190. Okay, that will give us the correct paper size. Okay, now as you can see, my Stormtrooper is a bit big to fit on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the select tool up here, and I'm going to click on him, select him, and I'm going to bring him down so he fits on my page, and I'm going to shrink him down to size. Okay, so I'm going to grab the corner and I'm going to hold shift down because I want him to bring him down in the same sort of size like that, and I'm going to bring him in so he fits nicely right in the middle of my box. I've got a little bit of a border around. I'm going to zoom back in. Right, now there are two choices, and this is where I want you to have a bit of a play around. We can do one of two things. We can trace around this stencil, and if you're feeling confident, and if this is for sort of those of us that are probably quite good at 2D design tools, you can trace this stencil. Okay, so we can use the line tools, the circle tools, and the path tool to do that. Okay, so let me just show you. If I click on the path tool, and let's say I want to trace around his arm bit here, I could turn step block off, and I could trace all the way around, and I could spend quite a long time tracing around these images. Okay, so making sure that you use my stencil tool and go all the way around. Now, if you do this correctly, and you trace it, your stencil will look absolutely fantastic. Okay, because you've got all nice rounded corners, and it will be nice and detailed. Okay, so that's one way of doing it, and you can see I've just started on one side, and you need to trace all the way around the outside edge that you want your stencil to be. Okay, so that's one way you can do it. Now, there is a bit of a shortcut. Okay, and I'm going to show you that shortcut now. What the shortcut does is what's called vectorizes it. It's going to change it into a vector. Now, a vector is basically the computer term for a line. Okay, now what we want to do is we're going to cut these out using the sticker machine, and the sticker machine recognizes lines. Okay, so we're going to vectorize it. So one way to do it, if you want to, I'm going to delete these, is to trace the whole drawing, and obviously that will take me quite a long time. And the other thing you can do is with your image is you can vectorize it. So over here on the left hand side you have the Vectorize tool, and you need to click on the Vectorize tool so you can see it's pressed down, and then click on your image. Okay, now vectorizing it, although this image looked like it was black and white, you can see there's also shades of gray in here, so we need to make it monochrome. Okay, monochrome basically means black and white. Okay, now we've got this tab here, which is to do with our luminancy, and as you can see, the dark, if I pull it over here, it goes dark, put it over here, it goes light. So we want it somewhere with enough detail, somewhere around there, I think would be perfect. And then if I vectorize it. Now you'll notice at the moment, you can see that the whole box is selected. Okay, now when I click OK, notice what happens. Okay, now if I try and select it again, you can see not the whole box isn't selected, it's just those dark areas. Okay, now this is how our stencil is going to look, but at the moment the sticker machine won't recognize it. So what I need to do is I just need to make it lines, okay, so that you can see this is filled in. So if I click on here and I click on the fill box up here, I'm going to click on no fill. I don't want it solid, I want it no fill, and that should just make it into lines. Now you can see that there is my stencil. Okay, so what I mean is you can see here, look, you can see how the lines aren't perfect. These aren't perfect circles. These are sort of square edged on here. That's because it's been vectorized. So the computer has tried its best to trace it, but the computer's not very accurate. All right, so if you're happy with that, that's fine. This is a real quick way of doing it, and I'm going to cut this one out so you can see it for tomorrow for the lesson. But if you really want to take your time and get it absolutely perfect, you could trace it. All right, but it depends on how much time you've got, and also how you find this program to use. Okay, so that is now ready for our for actually cutting out the sticker machine and stenciling it. The process is quite simple. Okay, what if you don't want an image? What if you just want some text? Okay, that's even simpler. So all we do is we click on here, and we click on the text button up here. So there's ABC here, and then we click on our box, and then we could write something in here. Okay, and then if we click on our settings button, what that does is that allows us to pick the font, it allows us to pick the size, it allows us to pick the alignment left or right or center. I'm going to pick centered, alignment centered. I'm going to pick a nice font that I know works well as a stencil. Funnily enough, it's actually called stencil if I can find it. It's probably down here, just going a little bit fast. ST stencil, there's my stencil. Right, so I'm going to click OK. And I click on OK, and then there is my GT rules. Now obviously I need to make sure that, again, it's in the middle. I need to make sure that I click on the fill button and I click no fill. Okay, so there are 2 or actually 3 simple ways of making your stencil. And what I want you to do once you've created your stencil, and your teacher will show you how to do this, is I want you to click on File, I want you to click on Save As, and then I want you to save it on the W drive. So you're going to need to click on this PC, find the W drive, and find the folder that your teacher wants you to save your work in, and then you'll be able to save your stencils, and we will cut them out to go on your box for next lesson. So what I want you to do, have a play around, find a stencil you like. If you really want to make it accurate, you can trace it, but vectorizing it works just as well.